But I promise you, one day you'll have a different perspective, one that doesn't feel so painful. Just give it time. It's a process.
You do not want to go to jail for anything.
Who are you? DWP, baby. DWP.
Only half of you is black, the other half crack.
Damn it!
I hate these assholes. It's a ring. Doctors, politicians, CEOs. Get over it.
Oh, hell no.
Let's review this file, bitches.
We are not bitches.
I'm Shelley Robertson. I am the creator, the writer, executive producer, co-director, and part of the cast of Extraction, the series.
I'm Terrah Bennett Smith. I am co-director. I directed along with Shelley, and I'm one of the producers, and I play Christine in the series.
Hi, everybody. Tasha, and I have one hat. I'm the editor, and that's
a big hat.
That's a big hat and a necessary hat.
So, Tasha, you're the editor?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. We got a lot of respect for you. This was well done. So thank you for joining me again, ladies. If you could let everybody know, I have the slicks here, and I'm going to share snippets of it that you've sent to me and some of the images of the actors and a few other things that I'll edit into this video for the viewing audience to see, because I really want them to see this. So tell my audience a little bit about this movie, if you could. Shelley, I want to start with you because you wrote it, right?
Mm-hmm. I did. Extraction, the series is, it's about friendship. It's about these three friends who come together because of their own personal histories and personal demons, and decide, because they come together, to kind of conquer domestic abusers, and they go out to try to do that. And as they do it, their personal lives kind of intersect with this mission. It's drama with some comedy. There's some comedy in it. It's a very serious subject, but it's dealt with in a really fascinating way, I think. I think.
It is.
That's
I
primarily.
agree with you. I agree 100%. I'm going to let you guys finish, because I'm telling you, that's a dynamite movie. Anybody within the sound of my voice, please, you need to watch this movie. And not just one, but 2, 3, and 4. I am hanging on waiting for 5. Literally. So make it all the way through. It's like a glass of wine. It just kept on getting better.
Fine wine gets better.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to add to what Shelley was saying about, the subtext of the abuse. What I love about it mostly is that my character in particular, from what you have to watch it to see what she's been through, it's a way for her to start healing and to start rediscovering and finding herself again. Because sometimes when you go through something, they always say the best thing to do is to help someone. And in turn, it ends up helping you. So that's what I love about it, is that their mission is really to set out what they think they're doing is to help others, but it really unravels and opens up what's inside of them to actually help themselves. So that's one of the things I love about it, And I'm curious to see where my character is going to go, because she ain't tell me yet.
She's getting it close to her breast, huh?
Right.
And you know what? You hit the nail on the head with that, because even with this Creative Artist magazine, I did it to help people. And now it's like it's helping me. It's like this therapeutic thing of mutuality that takes place. So yeah, when you start out doing it that way, you get a lot too. And go ahead and tell me, Tasha, how is it editing this movie? What's going on in the editing room for you? The series.
It was like every episode was someone's empowering moment. One of the character either grows, empowers, heals, and it definitely is uniting the women. With every episode, someone is definitely grown. Someone is definitely having a new experience, understanding themselves a little bit more. And that was really important to show their growth, because it's 4 episodes. So like, we want you to see how these women are healing and growing and uniting together to help a better cause. It's about domestic violence, but it's not in your face. It's more about the women themselves creating this unity of healing and empowerment within themselves to overcome it.
As a person watching it, I was healing. So this is a dynamite thing you guys are doing for women, period, because there was a little bit of different aspects, because nobody's the same. And you guys had a nice way of injecting multiple different styles. And some people may have people that they've dealt with that have a number of those styles. But then you guys touched on so many things in there. And I really fell in love with when you introduced, I have here in my notes, that women are going through hardships of abuse and seeking therapy. That's the number 2 thing, that therapy is important. And then finally, finding a healthy way of rebuilding and having the ability to recognize triggers of the potential future abusers. Mm-hmm. And so you guys fully encompassed that. You didn't just talk about abuse. You talked about things to help take care of that, and also to help women curtail potential abusers by recognizing the signs. I loved it. I love that. It was almost like you guys were talking to me a little bit in some cases.
Well, and you know what's so interesting?
Powerful.
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting? I don't know if any of us will leave this planet alive and not know someone, if we haven't even experienced ourselves, not know someone who's gone through it.
Yes.
Whether and we try to separate the physical abuse from the emotional abuse, but it's all abuse when you're being ripped apart and your soul, it's not whole because of the words or the actions of someone else. So I think, whether or not it is your personal story, you can identify with it in some form or fashion.
Right.
And men as well. And men as well, for women and men who are also going through it, because
Absolutely.
there are men who know men who hit women and so, yeah.
Yeah, this is not just a women thing.
That really warms my heart, what you just said. It really warms my heart. As an artist,
yes.
We work, from the heart, and we move from the heart, and we move from our passion. And as much as we'd like to put aside any or to diminish how important judgment is or not to us, it does matter to us how it affects. And it has mattered greatly to me, how it's received and how it affects. And so you saying that really, really is really special to me. I appreciate you sharing that.
I'm 55 years old. I might have to edit that out.
Well, you look fabulous.
I'd have to edit that little part out.
But I edit that out, because what's important too, and we haven't really touched on this in other interviews, is, they are mature women. Mm-hmm. They are not millennials. They have been through some stuff. They have been through life, and that's what's brought them to this. That is possibly what makes things jump out at you, because it's also written and produced by mature women, and we've embraced that. We're not trying to be anything other than that.
Mm-mm. That's right.
We're not trying to be anything other than who we are. That's who we are.
And the other part about that too is, there's so many millennials now, and Gen Zs who are in these relationships, who are in these relationships.
I know some of them.
And really don't understand that you either do it now or you're going to do it later. But at some point you're going to have to rectify this situation with yourself, So
Very true. All I can tell, and I don't know, I'm going to try not to keep saying it to be so repetitive, but I really, 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 don't take my word for it. Go ahead and watch all 4 shows. And I promise you, you're going to say, Pauline was right. This is a great watch. It is an awesome show, and they're going to be waiting for more. You guys are a dynamic group of women, and everybody know I'm all about women power. And so, and especially you guys are women of color. So that pretty much gives me the chill bumps just to see that you guys produce such a dynamic and interesting way to talk about a tough topic, because it is a little lightheartedness in there. It's a great watch. That's all I'm going to say. It's not overly laden heavy. Yet the message is still brought forth.
Very clear.
Yes, so this is dynamite in the delivery. Speaking of just women, you guys have a nice cast of men in here as well.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes, and quite a few names that I recognize and have seen on the big screen and television and so on. So this is a great cast you guys have here. Should I list them off, or are you guys going to tell me about it?
Well, we could start off by saying, being in the industry for as long as we have been, we have some wonderful friends who are artists who've done, some great things, like we all do television a lot. And some have been blessed, to have gone on and have wonderful careers in television series and films and stuff. And, a lot of it was picking up the phone. And just saying, hey.
All of it was picking up the phone.
Yeah, that's right. All of it was picking up the phone. That's true.
It was either sliding into somebody's DM, or picking up the phone. And what was wonderful, and you and I talked about this earlier today, what was really, really, truly wonderful to me was, as an actor, we've been, I've been an actor for over 30 years, and all of us are actors. And, you find everybody, especially in LA and Hollywood, that's acting. People tend to it becomes the norm. Actors have an agenda. Everybody wants to get that next gig. And the lesson that I got out of this, which was wonderful, was like when you really come to people with something, with a real product, and I often got from the people that I would approach, that they would hear my passion and they would hear my heart. And when you come like that, you'll be amazed at how many people will hold the ladder for you.
Yes.
Even the people that had to end up telling me no. I mean, I reached out to Blair Underwood. Blair was like, I would do it, but I'm gonna be on Broadway. I can't, but let me know when it's up and running. The people that couldn't, because they were, it was just all love, and that was so heartwarming. Mike Beach had just gotten off of a plane midnight the night before, and he had been flying 5 or 6 times that week to 3 different gigs, and came and showed up for us for a couple of hours, So that was very, very heartwarming to see how many people really are there to support you when you come with something.
Yes.
And come correct.
Yes, I tell people you can't go and ask for something if you don't do something. You know what I mean? They're empty and they're asking you. You have more than enough to get started if you have a dream.
Tasha.
Met Shelley was literally over the phone. I had not met her before. I learned about her project, and she's absolutely right. The passion that she had, the amount of, literally talked for like an hour the first time I spoke with her. And I just wanted so much to be part of the project. And unfortunately, the first episode I was working and quit because I just felt like I owed her time, and my sense of presence had jobs and trying to juggle them. I really felt like this project deserved my full attention. And I missed doing the first episode. And as soon as she sent me the first episode, and I was so impressed. I was like, God, I was like, this is beautiful. And I love what you're talking about. I love everything about it. I was really impressed, and I really wanted to work on it. So as soon as I stopped working, I was like, okay, what's going on with your project? I literally called her myself because I loved her script. I loved who she was. I loved her passion and commitment to what she was doing. And to actually see the first episode and everything that she told me about it was absolutely correct. I was like, I have to work on it. And I was so impressed with how it, when I was working on the footage, I was like, wow, this is some incredible footage. These are some incredible actors. This is an incredible message. And I mean, literally just sitting there, reading the script, looking at the footage, it just poured out of me. Just, this is what I see. This is what it is. And I was absolutely right. It's all the passion. It's all, you can't and get people to be a part of something when they know how much it means to you, how passionate. And it wasn't like anything was wrong. It was just a really beautiful project from beginning to end. It was literally a beautiful project. I was so impressed by it all.
But I just want to say to Tasha, you know, that I've actually have only seen Tasha on Zoom calls. I think this is my first time, Tasha. I think this first time I've actually seen you. I emailed her.
I feel like I know you, Terrah.
I know. I feel like I know her. But you know, one of the things that was so wonderful was that when you find the synergy and the energy and the commitment and the passion, and then you turn it over from production to post-production, and you match that same kind of energy in someone who, when they send you back your first rough of an episode, you go, whoa. You know, that the same kind of time and effort in making sure that the characters are, each look has a meaning and each touch has a meaning, you know, so that all the work you did on this end doesn't go away. You know, so now when you hand it over to the next person, that she's actually looking at the clips going, oh, yeah, she may not be as pretty in this clip, but this clip is telling part of the story. And because it's a project that has a purpose. You know, when projects have purpose, they have a different life shelf than something that's just cute and fun and we're enjoying it. There's a message here, and there's something that people need to see to help uplift them. So, you know, kudos to you, Tasha, for taking the baby and then bringing it home. And so I watch it like 100 times. I know everybody's lines now. I didn't even know mine on the set, but I know everybody's lines now because I keep watching it because it's so good, you know. Anyway, I just wanted to say that to you, Tasha.
I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure. It was my pleasure to work with you guys. I enjoyed it so much. And it was interesting because it's like COVID, so we didn't get an opportunity to really work together the way we could have, but it all worked out for the best. At the end of everything, COVID didn't shut anything down. It just kept it going, kept it moving. And it was an absolute pleasure to virtually work with everybody.
Wow. I just want to ask Shelley, what was the driving force? Where were you at when you just decided, I have this in my head, I'm going to put it down on paper, and I want to do something with this? What caused you to write this script?
You know, one of the other producers on the project had this idea to bring a few of her friends together to kind of start something. She didn't know what she wanted to start. And we came together and said, okay, well, why don't we do a web series, right? And I had just gotten off of one. I just actually quit one for a variety of reasons and had written my own. I was inspired to write my own. It was an Extraction. And when we all got together and sat around, the inspiration, I had been inspired for the past few years by a childhood friend, a friend of mine that I went to high school with. And I would watch her on Facebook. We reconnected on Facebook. And she, from her own personal experience, had begun to help other women get out of abusive relationships. And she would document this on social media. And it was really interesting to me. And I actually had reached out to her a couple times and said, you know, we should chat. Extraction has nothing to do with her story. Obviously, it's not that at all, but it was inspired by that. So when at the time it was 5 of us, when we were all sitting around talking, that was where the idea came from. Maybe this is where I can explore this story. And when I went and wrote Extraction, they liked it. It was cute. But then I had this other story. I said, well, let's read this. And they loved it. It was hilarious. So I put them both together. And one was Empty Nesters Anonymous. And so I had written Empty Nesters Anonymous, and I had written Extraction. And I put them both together.
Wow.
So all the characters began to form from that. So that's kind of how it happened. And I would just come to the table every couple of weeks with the new script, and we'd read it and go, okay, let's do it. So.
But aside from Extraction, are there any other projects? Because you guys are filmmakers now. I mean, I don't know if you were before, but you're filmmakers. This is real. This web series, it has the look and the feel of a real series.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and that was important to us.
Yes,
that was important to us, that the quality is on another level, because
and it is.
Yeah, that the quality, the look, the production value, whether what we spent on it, it shouldn't look like what we spent on it. It should look like what we envisioned spending on it.
And people need to know that. I think you and I talked about it earlier, Pauline. I think one of the things we've been missing talking about this is because it looks like we had a lot of money, but we didn't have.
We did not. Mm-mm.
Every location was a friend of a friend of a friend.
And some friends we didn't even know if we could call because we never really taled to them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The gala was a friend that I hadn't talked to in a couple of years, and I sent a text and said, "Hey,"
And the beach house was someone I knew who knew someone from my church, and I said, "Do they still live on the beach?" I said, "Do you think that?" He said, "Call them," and he was like, "Absolutely." But that's and all the lighting equipment. We had to we got the lighting equipment. Shelley knew someone, and they helped us out. But we had to go pick it up in cars. And we had tons of equipment.
We had $20,000 a weekend worth of grip and lighting equipment that was comped to us by Coyote Grip and Lighting. A friend of mine,
Say their name again.
Call people out. Harold Deason is the senior VP at Coyote Grip and Lighting, which everybody uses in LA. He comped $20,000 worth of lighting equipment for 3 weekends.
And we picked it up 3 weekends, and we picked it up on Friday. We shot Saturday and Sundays for 3 weekends, and we picked it up on Friday in cars, because when we pulled up, I had my little Odyssey, took some of the seats out, and Connie had a car and Shelley had her car. And they were like, "Y'all can't fit this in cars." We're like, "Who?"
Watch us.
And we had no choice.
We're movie making women here.
But and we got it in cars, and we had to lug everything out of the cars when you get home to make sure it was safe, lug it back in the car in the morning. And I think by the 3rd weekend, we were so tired of lugging in, out. We would park it in a way. I never got any sleep because I was so busy worried about the equipment. It was right under my window. So I would just sleep and wake up and go, look at the car, make sure everything's still inside. So that's what I did all night. I never slept. And then we lug it in, and we did all that, but we got it done because we knew that the level of what we wanted when it was done was to look like something that we spent a whole lot of money on, that you don't normally get to see in low budget productions, let alone web series.
It was important that it had a cinematic value, that it had cinematic quality.
That's the word I was looking for.
Really
it's cinematic.
It was absolutely beautiful. I mean, literally, I look at footage every day. Right, I work in Hollywood every day. I look at footage every day. This project was beautiful. Not only was it like the set, it was women, what they look like. The audio guy, I loved him. I mean, like, even behind the scenes, there was so much Black pride. It's unreal. It was, normally you get a project and it can be like crazy, set up crazy. You can't figure out where everything is. This project was like, boom. It was like a great audio. It was so easy for me to do everything that I needed to do. when I got to episode 4 and I saw episodes 4 footage, I was like, oh my God, Shelley, like I'm literally in heaven. And it wouldn't take me long because it just was so beautiful. It was so well done. I was so impressed by that. Like, and I'm proud that I worked on it.
Yay!
Wow. So that's a blessing to hear. You know, I'm in the greatest company right now, and I just want to thank all you guys for making this series, but for also, you know, representing. It's like, you know, just thank you so much, because some young girl's going to watch this and she's going to be inspired. I already know it. And I already see millions of views. So I see it. I genuinely, there we go.
Goosies, got the goosies. We like the
Those are-
goosies.
Yes.
Like the goosies.
Right when I said millions of views. For Extraction, the series, it is on Facebook and on YouTube. You just have to type in Extraction, the series. Now, we don't want to get it mixed up with the movie Extraction, so don't be dismayed. Keep going till you type in the and the series. And it is a definite must watch. Okay, so Shelley, why don't you share some of the projects and accolades that you have, and let us know a little bit about your background in the industry.
You know what? My first accolade is I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 2 amazing adults, young adults. And my son actually was our music supervisor on this project. And he actually came in. We had Claude McKnight and Dennis Atkinson Jr. And then the pandemic hit. So they were only able to do the theme song for us and to finish that very first scene. And after that, you know, my son kind of stepped in and never done it before, and he did an amazing job. Most people would talk about how great the music is, and the placement and where he put stuff was really good. So it's fantastic to bring him on. And then my daughter was our first AD. My daughter is a writer. She's the script supervisor, and she was promoted from the writer's assistant on Goliath, on Amazon's Goliath, and has a bright future ahead of her. She actually read Extraction for me and gave me notes, but she was our first AD on the project. So that's my first accolade. In terms of
That's
the
a
business,
dynamic accolade to have.
dynamic accolade, absolutely. It makes it's the motivation, the wind beneath the wings, absolutely. I've been in the business for over 30 years, so, and mostly television. I've done a lot of television. And right before we went into production on this project, I finished a guest star in Church Today. I finished a movie that I did for Amazon that's a horror flick, a part of their anthology series that comes out next year. I'm headed to Georgia in a month to do a guest star in a series. I did SWAT last year and The Rookie, and just IMDb me, because there's tons of credits on that. So I've been in the business for a very long time, and this is my first foray to behind the camera. You know, it's not really my first foray into writing. I've always been a writer, but it's the first time I actually said, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna finish it, and I'm gonna get it done. And it is my first foray into directing. And I think it was pretty successful.
I think so. I agree. I'm sitting here saying it, and it's because I watched all of them. And just real quick about the music, I didn't know who did it, but I was working out while I was watching it, because I have to do 2 things at once. You know, like it's too much on the plate. So I was watching it and I was doing my workout, and I fell in love with the music. Every time for each episode that came on, I was like, this is some cool music.
And you know, and I'll add that even the music, because we didn't want to be bombarded with having to get the rights to different things and going through people's music companies or whatever. And so all of the music come from artists that are friends, artists that we know, artists that we said, okay, is this yours on this? You know, okay, so we can use this. So, you know, the list that we gave him was a limited list, you know, make it work from this. And the placement that he did from that limited list was amazing. And the artists, the work of these independent artists that's out there was amazing.
And so here's something I wanted to mention earlier, because we, when Tasha was talking about how professional quality she received in order to edit it. I wanted to say, if these ladies did that with the budget that they had, imagine if y'all gave them a real big budget, they could really make the magic happen. Because to see what you were able to create with what you had, if you didn't have that restriction of the budget, you can do phenomenal things. And and I just want to invite anybody, if they can, if they'd like to help these women with a budget.
That's right. That's right.
And watch the magic happen, because when you watch Extraction, you'll know that with what they had to pull that off, because it is quality and it does have a cinematic feel to it, and everything was on point. To be able to do that with the budget that you had, and I'm not going to share, you can share it if you choose to. Imagine if you had a bigger budget. And that's where I'm feeling this need to ask people if they would, reach out to you women and see what they could do to help.
Well, we appreciate that, because you know what? It does make it easier when you're not holding, 15 hats, especially when you're in it. However, us being moms, especially, that's kind of what we do. We cook the dinner with the laptop over there with the phone to the ear, because we got to get them all done at 4 o'clock. So, however, but a nice budget doesn't hurt anybody to have, But a budget, yes, absolutely. So we welcome any of you to hit us up on any of our pages.
And I learned so much. And I think about Dick often, because even though he didn't end up going through this process with us, it was from him saying to me, I'm not going to do it. I'll do it for you for free, but I'm not going to do it if I don't have an AC. And I'm like, okay, well, I never really knew what the AC does. So what does the assistant camera do? He was like, the assistant camera is the focus puller. Who's the focus puller? So he sat me down, pulled out, let's go look at some web series. I'm going to show you. This one had a focus puller. See why? This one didn't have a focus puller. You see why? And it took me, we were sitting in the coffee shop many days of learning, of, this is what's required. If you really want to do a professional project, there are certain things that are required in order to do that. And so I, for myself, especially being really new to that, behind the camera thing, I was really open to soaking up as much from anywhere and everywhere. I was coming home from production, watching master classes, and then going back the next day and said, you know what, I want an 8 lens on that, because I want to see, the whole room. So can you give me an 8 lens? And I just learned that from Spike Lee last night on a master class. So I think that's a part of it too, is really, walking into the process, understanding that, we not Steven Spielberg. It took Steven Spielberg a long time to become Steven Spielberg. It took Spike Lee a long time to become Spike Lee. And you had to respect the process. Yes. Every single step of the process. Having conversations with Tasha is like, what does that mean? I was really open to being able to say, what's that mean? What are you talking about? Okay, explain this to me.
Post is a whole nother beast. Post is a whole nother beast. Because editor, it's also sound, it's also colorist. Every level, it's like a layered cake. Everybody plays part of it in order for it to be delicious, so it's like, I can tell the story, but a colorist can take that story and that is a story in itself. The color, what it looks like. So is the audio. You can look at a pretty picture and the audio is bad, and we've lost our audience.
You've lost it.
You can hear and that with a terrible picture, and they go all together. They're all a cake, and it is not just me. It is a bunch of other people that work with me in order to get a finished product. It's also a visual effects person. It's all kind of people in post-production that people don't know, that adds layers to your cake that makes it amazing. So.
And when you prep your cake, if you don't prep it well, then when you get down to put the icing on and all the different layers, it's going to fall apart, because so many people think that, oh, we'll just do it this way, or we'll just do it that way. They can fix it in post. And then when you get it to post, the post people are like, I don't want to take this job. This is like too much for my nerves. You know what I mean? So you really got to think of your project the best. I want the best, 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 best. So that as it trickles down, you're not keep trying to fix things all the time because it looks fixed. It looks like a cake that somebody took the pieces that the eggs didn't hold together and pushed it back in and put some icing on it, so just so it looks good. But it doesn't.
It can't be fixed though.
Some things can't,
because we fixed
things cannot be fixed. Right.
We had some post people come in and fix a couple things, but that was because, a lot of those things that we fixed were things that other people might not have fixed.
Yes.
You know, so we were like, okay, no, colorists can't do this, but the digital effects can. Take that out of there, and you know, oh, we need to change the color of somebody's shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you make that happen. Otherwise, it's gonna look like it's the same day. You know.
And completely different too, because you can write something and then shoot it and then put it together and it doesn't feel right. And Shelley and I went through a whole process of like, Shelley, I see something completely different. Well, what you see? Okay, this is what I see. And it worked, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's just what you write, what you shoot, sometimes in post isn't what you see.
Right.
Elevated to a different level. You can move things around. You can move
like
this
a puzzle. Mm-hmm.
to here, you know, and it can hit better. It can make more sense. This is like in post is kind of where the magic kind of happens, where you're putting it all together. Right. And you can kind of manipulate it to be, like you said, there's looks. There's, you know, like lots of people, you as an actor, an actress, you know, one good thing to know is post, because if you pick up a cup with this hand, please don't on another take pick it up with that hand, because then you've lost your position with me, and you could have a really good take where you're delivering something amazing, but the continuity would be completely off, you know, and then I can't use your great take because you're kind of moved around. Mm-hmm. Different than where you were in the other takes. So it's like actresses need and actors need kind of like a course in post to kind of keep their selves in position to how they're delivering their lines. If you're flipping your hair, then you got to flip your hair every single time so that it's not weird where all of a sudden you on this side and you was on this side when it was good. It was good on this side, and now I got to go to another cut and you're doing something a little different. Thank goodness.
Especially in low budgets, to no budgets, because it's a lot of times you have that person on set who's making notes of every time, but when you don't, you're relying on the actor to remember all of that, and sometimes they just don't.
It is a whole thing. Making a film isn't just one person. It's just literally a team of creatives that are together, and it makes it wonderful.
Yes. All right. And Terrah, tell us a little bit about some of your accolades and projects that you have worked on.
Well, I call myself a kind of multifaceted person. I hail from New York, which I'm here right now. Like Shelley, my main claim to fame, I think the thing I did the best out of everything I've done is raise my children. I have, like Shelley, I have some of the best kids. When I say the best, not a day of trouble, I just don't even know how I lucked up, but I'm so thankful. So my main claim to fame, obviously, are my kids, because I think no matter what I did in this lifetime that might have been hit or miss, I hit on that one. Outside of that, I started off in New York doing a lot of theater, musical theater. I was on Broadway, came out to LA, got sick of New York, and then I was on RCA Records with a recording group called Altitude, so we got to tour and do Soul Trains and the Party Machines and all of that stuff. So that was a whole other, then my career, I did a lot of television. I did a lot in my initial years here in LA. The first thing I did was a pilot, a spinoff of Facts of Life, where we were all going to move to New York together. And so my career just, it just kind of went I just allowed it to go wherever it was taking me. you know, I started doing a lot of guest star and recurring roles. I was recurring on General Hospital. Like I said, I was supposed to be a series regular on Facts of Life. Had a talk show on Fox. And then I ended up behind the camera and started directing because a friend of mine wanted me to direct the play. I was like, I can direct a play. I never directed a play in my life. I was like, I'll direct a play. And then it just kept snowballing. The first feature film I did was called Flip the Script with Miguel Nunez and Robin Gibbons. I directed that. And then went on to direct some other things in commercials. And I've been writing and producing, you know, since then. I'm getting ready to do a movie in November called LA Bakers. And then a series that I've been working on of my own called My Sweet Life. That is, we shot like we're shooting 10 episodes, 10.5-hour episodes. And then COVID hit. We have the bigger scenes to do. So, and then I'm writing a new one called Trifecta, which I love. I'm in love with, and it deals with not necessarily abuse, but not dealing with issues at hand. Everything I do really is about, I like it to have a purpose. You know, it has to service someone or have some type of information that someone can grow and learn from. So that's what's important to me. And right now I'm helping my daughter move. So I'm in New York, and that's all I've been doing for the last few days is packing and moving because mommy mode, and stopping to do extractions, interviews, and things like that. So that's my life.
Isn't Zoom awesome? Zoom is
oh my gosh, it's wonderful.
not just Zoom, but Facebook has this stuff too, and Google also offers it.
Yeah.
But you know, everybody can connect now from across from New York to wherever you happen to live. You're on the road, Tasha. You're in an RV right now. She is in an RV, everybody, and she still took the time out to be in this interview on Zoom, everybody. So tell us about some of your accolades out there RVing.
Well, as the other ladies have said before me, my biggest accolade is I have a daughter, and that if I did anything right, that's the one thing right. I adore my daughter. She's perfection in my mind and to the world. You know what? I'm gonna put it out there. She's 27, and she's in PA school and in grad school, and she's so focused, and she is just the most realist, honest, hardworking person I've ever met. And I oftentimes to ask myself, like, how did I do this? This is crazy. You know, this is absolutely crazy. So that's my one amazing accolade. I actually have just been editing for about 10 years. My daughter, she was my whole world, decided that she was going to leave me, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went back to school. When she went to college, I went back to school myself and took up editing, and wind up working a lot in reality TV. I've worked on Bachelor, a lot of Bachelor in Paradise, Winter Games in Bachelor. I was part of the Bachelor community for a long time. Then recently I started doing like clip shows. So I did this BT Plus show called All the Way Black, which is really funny. I worked on Girlfriends Check-In just recently on OWN. And I'm booked. Once when I get back to LA, I'm working on another OWN show, Behind Every Man. So it's about the women behind our famous athletes and singers, actors, musicians. It's the women's story behind them. So that's me. Worked on a couple of shorts, by the way. You know, goal is to be in more scripted and feature films. That's literally my goal.
Well, you be in everything that I do, just so you know.
Because she did a phenomenal job, because that outcome is great. And then I'm a fan of, I don't like to leave out the connecting, because it's a big connecting pot here. And Shelley reached out to me because of somebody that's actually in your film here. I saw Ralph, AKA Mark Ridley, and he was with you, Terrah, in the car.
Yes, I know Mark.
Yes, and so I'm just going to give Mark Ridley a shout out, and he's got a couple of shorts out. You guys, he's also one of my I'm a fan of his work
He's
also.
an
Yes,
incredible
he's
filmmaker. I've known him
very
for
much so.
years, and he's
Quality,
really
quality.
talented. Got some good
Quality
stuff
work
now.
and,
Yes.
and deep storylines.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ready. So I'm grateful that these connections are being made. And Wendy Barnes Farrell is a dynamic artist, and that's how I met Mark. Well, I met her from
I know Wendy.
And congratulations to you on
That's right.
Creative Artist Magazine. Congratulations to you, and thank you
Yes.
for putting it out there so that we have an outlet that we can share what we're doing. And that's major. Thank you.
Thank you. It's because of the artists and wanting to be able to do something. How I started this is how you started your movie.
Mm-hmm.
Having a dream, a desire to do something, but not having necessarily everything that you needed at that moment, but not letting that stop you from doing something. So that's why I encourage anybody to just get started with what you have, and the rest will follow. It will come to you.
And don't be afraid to reinvent yourself at any age. You know what I mean? Especially, there's so many women, who find themselves empty nesters and trying to figure out now, what do I do? Where do I go? Is it too late? It's never too late. It's just, and even if you have small kids and you feel like you've lost yourself, we put in the time, but we still did not lose sense of ourselves. And now can play on another playing field with healthy kids and a healthy life. And so I think it's important to remember that just because you're at an age or where you feel like you should be done with this or you should have moved along further, that it doesn't mean it's time to just make a shift and reinvent yourself, because until you're gone, you're here.
God has us here learning for a reason.
You have an opportunity to
doing.
make something. Exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And my kids, I gotta say, because we're talking about kids, I have some beautiful, beautiful kids that I am extremely proud of, and they were my everything and still are. But after they grow up and they go out, I found myself like, now what? Because you give so much, you're working, you're doing everything for them, and it's about them. And then you're like, now what? And so this is how I just said the whole world then. I'm one person, but there is a whole world that I could share the rest of the nurturing and love that I have in me that's apparent. And so that's where I found myself with Creative Artist Magazine, is wanting to nurture other people that were and needed some nurturing and help and love, and just to keep that connection going, connecting one artist with the next artist, and we all help each
other.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes, I'm a big fan of that. So ladies, you guys have a dynamic cast here, and we're going to close this out with you guys sharing some of your cast members. And again, I'm going to have it scrolling up. You guys will see their pictures. You'll get to see everybody that's included in here. And but I want you guys to tell me a little bit about this very interesting cast that you have here. It's a very interesting cast.
Well, I could start with the people, some of my friends that Priscilla Barnes and I did a play together years ago. And when we were looking for someone to play Rebecca's mother, and we, one of the things about having a project, especially when you're kind of starting out, is to bring in people that elevate the level of your project, so that when you're sending it out to networks or whatever, they see recognizable faces or faces that are network approved, so to speak. It helps you move it from A to Z. So that's what we did. We reached out to people we knew who had the pedigree in the industry, and Priscilla Barnes was one of them. And I said, hey, Priscilla, you want to do something? Okay, Terrah, I'll be there. And then
she's already a powerful woman in the book. I remember hearing something. She's
and she does. And then Chef Babette is a client of mine who managed Chef Babette, and she's got her own social media following and her brand and all of that. And so that was a no-brainer.
Yes.
Shelley, you want to take some people?
Jeremiah Burkett, who plays Dr. Stern.
Yes.
Is a friend, has been over 20 years. We've been friends. He's a brother from another mother. So when I called him up and said, I want you to do this, he was like, yeah, I'm there. Chris Williams is a friend of all of ours, I think. And Chris Williams, who plays Dr. Prince. Dr.
Yes.
and the therapist, and Chris came on board really easily. Obviously, Michael Beach, who I've talked about before, is a friend. He actually also was a teacher. He's one of my acting teachers from years ago. I took an acting class with him and Eric LaSalle, and so when I reached out to him, it was, if I can work it out, and he did work it out. Sherman Augustus was a good friend of Terrah and I, and he was like, yes, absolutely. Tell me where you need me. Kent Falcone. And I did the Love Boat together. My daughter.
I love the Love Boat.
My daughter is 24 years old. She was an infant. And when he and I did the Love Boat together, and we just.
Oh my goodness. See,
our kids
ladies
ended up going to high school together and all that kind of stuff. So we just kind of kept in contact. So when, reached out to him, he was like, absolutely, I'm on board. Nikki Gilbert was friends with Robert Torty, who played Rebecca's husband, was friends with Faye DeWitt,
yes.
lady,
yes.
And the Empty Nesters Anonymous. Friends with, Nikki was also good friends. She brought on Gregory Butler, who was our bartender, who just.
Yes. Oh, he did a good job. Okay, I know Gregory in the film, and I loved his character.
His character. He came and brought his own thing with it. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Who am I forgetting?
And then the other guy who's was one of the guys in Empty Nester,
Chase
Daniel,
Kim was also
Chase Kim and Daniel. Those were friends because Daniel we called last minute because we lost a person, and I've met Daniel just years ago and never really talked to him outside on Facebook. And I was like, hey, you want to do something? He's like, I'll be there. And he showed up, and he was fabulous, and he brought his own character. So it just became a plethora of
Caitlin
love.
Moore. I don't want to forget anybody. Caitlin Moore.
Caitlin, you're right.
Of Terrah's, who owned the beach house. She was their daughter. And so as we're, cleaning up the beach house, getting it together, we were like, okay, Caitlin, yes, you got to be in this. So she came in and played did a fantastic job as the nurse.
And
Chase Kim,
Empty Nester.
She brought him on. I don't want to forget anybody.
I think that's. Well, no, we mentioned him.
Okay.
I think we got everyone. Yeah, we got everyone.
You guys got everybody. You sure did.
And all of our extras who showed up, friends who showed up to be extras and hang out all day, and that was our first weekend. So we weren't as, it took a little minute before we got our rhythm going. But they showed up and they just gave us love, and we thank you all for being a part of it, Portia. And
we got to give a call. We haven't yet in any of our interviews. We haven't give a shout out to Pablo Chasero, who was our DP.
Yes, our DP.
Who came in 2 days.
He was your what?
He was our director of photography.
Okay.
And he came in. I told you we lost the other DP. We lost the other DP 2 days before principal shooting. And Pablo came in 2 days before with the prettiest eye, the best attitude in the world. He's our favorite Brazilian. That's what we call him. And, there were certain things that I guess probably because I wrote it. There's certain things I saw a certain way, and what was fascinating and wonderful about Pablo was that he took that vision and he expanded on it and made it a theme throughout. I knew I wanted to see certain things through a window, like a fly on the wall. So you're watching a conversation, but you're not even in the conversation. And he took that concept and really expanded it throughout the entire process, so that a lot of the scenes you're seeing through. You feel like you're privy to something that nobody else is being privy to. And then, as you can see, he's got the prettiest eye. He really, really does. Mm-hmm. And so we got to give a shout out to the pretty picture that Pablo.
And you know what? And our sound and all of our cast and crew. I mean, our crew, because we had interns that were off the chart. You know what I mean? They were just like one little girl who just wanted to be in the business so bad. She was catching things that I didn't even catch. She was like, well, that car, that would have been facing that way. Just things like that was so much love, and people were just so excited to be there because we treated them well too. That's it. Yes. They were paid when they said they were going to they didn't chase their money. They did none of that stuff. You know what I mean? All the things that that matter so that they come back, and they knew we were doing something quality as well. So yes, to everyone. And
all right, let's give the Extraction the Series cast and crew and production team a hand, everybody. All right, thank you so much. I am Pauline Sanders, editor-in-chief of Creative Artists Magazine, and I am a big fan of the Extraction the Series web series on Facebook and on YouTube, and I invite you to check it out because once you do, you'll agree with me. I already know it. It's well done, and these dynamic women have really nailed it. So thank you so much, Shelley, Terrah, and Tasha for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
We've had a blast.
And this just came out on Friday, I might add. It was just released this past Friday. What day was that?
The 28th.
The 28th of August, yes. So go ahead and check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again.
You're welcome.
All righty. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.